Never in the history of the world have the merchants of obscenity had available to them the modern facilities for disseminating this filth. Disseminating this filth. The onslaught of the communist masters of deceit.
Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Pinko, Commie, Slutz.
Hey. Oh, wow. So fast. Everyone's here.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Everyone's here.
Welcome. Steve's here. Marlo's here. Bunny's here.
Steve, you have to watch that game. It's the dumbest.
I watched it. It's the dumbest fucking opening.
I know. It rules so fucking hard.
Are you guys talking about chess?
Yes.
Yeah. Bong Cloud opening. E4, E5, King E2.
King E2, baby. Oh, man. Yeah, no, that shit fucking ends.
It's like the fall of the monarchy.
Nagamura is... I don't know. Nagamura is a dick. Fuck Nagamura. He's ruining chess. He's ruining the beautiful game.
I mean, you can't fault him for having a Red Bull sponsorship.
Yeah, no, he is Hikaru Nakamura. This may or may not be true at the time of this recording, is the only Red Bull sponsored chess player. And David Grand Pooh Bear, I forget his last name, is the only Red Bull sponsored bid runner. Anyway, so yeah, a lot to talk about this week.
This is sponsored by Red Bull.
Yes, we are sponsored by Red Bull.
It gives you wings.
Yeah.
Right?
I saw a child drinking Red Bull this week, which I think is, just kind of a universal analogy for everything. Just a 7-year-old with Red Bull.
I mean, rock on. It's children's amphetamines at this point.
Yeah. No, we would need drugs to function under capitalism and might as well start them early, baby. Red Bull.
I mean, if you're 7
you function
and
under capitalism.
If you're 7 and want to write On the Road by Jack Kerouac, Red Bull is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm really sad that none of us have children right now because we could be manufacturing this, in fact.
Red Bull?
No. Children on Red Bull writing an On the Road for today.
Oh, yeah.
Cool, yeah. No.
I mean, somebody's
I've actually never read On the Road.
Oh, you haven't?
No. I remember when all of my friends were reading On the Road, and I wanted to be different, so I didn't read On the Road.
See, whereas I was the only person I knew who read On the Road when I read it.
Ditto.
Yeah.
I had just sort of offhandedly heard about Kerouac and everything. I think it was referenced in some movie. And then I went to the Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore and I got a copy out. And I did not really understand what I was reading on the first pass. I think I was in 6th grade.
Yeah, I mean, that's the age. Literally, I don't know. I just went to school with a bunch of white hippie kids and they all read On the Road at the same time, and I feel like 6th grade is when you should read that. It's like Orwell.
It made me want to A, learn how to hitchhike, and B, be a white person in a black jazz bar snapping my fingers really fast.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I wanted to do.
Yeah, most of your life has been devoted towards the second thing, I feel like.
And for a while, it was that was my life. Oh, I skipped prom.
Well, so did I. Well, I mean, skipped prom.
I skipped prom to go to a jazz club.
Oh, yeah. You went to Fat Cats, didn't you?
I went to Fat Cats. That was the first time.
Was that when you got a handy at Fat Cats? And am I confusing that story with something else?
You are.
I'm not sure Steve consented to have this story told on the podcast.
Okay, well then bleep it out, Matt. Sorry.
No, I got a handy from a jazz guitarist.
That's so fucking cool, dude. Why wouldn't you want to tell that story?
It's not true. I got a handy from the music, not from the person. The music itself. He played his jazz guitar and it masturbated.
Oh yeah, word. All right, yeah, that's what happened. Anyway,
yeah, it was weird because Fat Cat had a back room at that point. They don't have a back room anymore, and you had to pay to get into the back room because that's where they had the premium shows. Like they had the proletariat shows, which are like the shitty, house band every night. But then if you paid $10, you could go in the back room, and it was prom.
And then they realized that they could just charge kids $10 to play Battleship, and that would get equally, if not more, people to pay them $10.
Well, yeah, Battleship and hand jobs.
Yeah,
in the back room. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's leave that ambiguous as to what act.
You are confusing stories, though.
Okay, fair enough. I, on the other hand, didn't go to prom and ended up beating Metroid 1 on NES emulator. So that's my I didn't go to prom story.
Equally as masturbatory.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, really, in the words of Freud, I think everything is masturbation. I don't know.
It's nice. It's nice. And an appropriate theme for this week.
Anyway, this is white people doing a podcast in the greater New York metropolitan region talking about metaphorical types of masturbation.
That's right.
And we don't even have a semen-related name of our podcast.
This is, I don't know, Jizz Village. Anyway.
Oh, speaking, just total tangent, shout out to my boy Stav. He got his tooth fixed.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. Shout out.
Speaking of gay sex, Red Dawn.
No, I saw that he was doing a show in Philly, and he posted a nude on Insta with his new tooth. A nude with a new tooth. He's so brave.
Is he doing his body positivity Instagram thing again?
Yes. He's never stopped, really. But
it's just been it's gone from calendars to Instagram, back to calendars.
Word.
Well, so I think now's a good time to say the president's dead already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we are actually reporting in the wake of an unprecedented event in America. Actually, no, William Henry Harrison. A precedented event in American history.
I believe it's unprecedented that it happened under a month before the election.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, at the same time, it's also unprecedented that someone literally named Donald Trump was president. So,
that's true.
Depending on where you draw the line, everything's unprecedented. But Donald Trump is dead right now.
That's true.
No, anyway, so we could continue with this joke, or we could actually discuss that he has coronavirus and it's funny.
It is funny.
And also everyone has coronavirus right now.
Yeah, everyone's Kellyanne Conway.
The number of Republicans getting coronavirus is growing at like this according to this exponential function that has previously only been used to describe the growth rate of bacteria colonies on a petri dish. Every fucking member of the GOP has coronavirus at this point. Chris Christie does.
Thank Jesus.
It's just, I mean, it's also just a really good cross-section of medically significant demographics where it's like Chris Christie is fat as shit and out of shape. Donald Trump is old as shit, also out of shape. Kellyanne Conway has whatever's going on with her. So yeah, we'll see what the survivability rate among all of those are.
I mean, at least one of them's got to go.
You would hope.
Law of probability.
I mean, you would hope, but also, let's face it, the coronavirus only really kills John Prine. Doesn't kill anyone fun. So,
I did enjoy. I don't know if you guys got to see the video they put out earlier today, trying to show Trump is okay.
yeah.
He's just like seemingly writing on blank pieces of paper. And it seems like he's signing his name on those blank pieces of paper. If you zoom in,
Is it
video.
the video that he sent through his tweet? He tweeted something out of him.
Yeah, he
there's
tweeted like
two
two videos.
Yeah, the later video is what I'm referring to, where it shows him at work, quote unquote, at behind a desk and at a table with papers in front of him. But if you zoom in, it looks like he's just signing his name on a blank piece of paper.
Which is the sort of thing Trump would have them shoot ahead of time in case he does go.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if any president is going to do a weekend at Bernie's again, because I must
just get me on.
It's already happened.
Just get me on film signing documents, because that's what presidents do on film. So.
Well, and in this case, we don't have a ambitious first lady who's going to come in there and run the country.
Yeah, no Wilsoning that shit.
No Wilsoning it. So, of course, I'm referring to my belief and that President Wilson was literally basically dead.
I mean, he was literally completely unresponsive, and his wife just baselessly claimed he was somehow communicating with her. Like, he was in a coma. Like, she did literally run the country based on her own whims. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, we'll wait for the deep fake where he's like, happy 4th of October. On this day, that is today.
It's been a whirlwind. What a week.
Yeah.
What a week.
Yeah, what a fucking week.
I mean, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, no, it's been a pretty good week.
Wait, did any of you get banned on Twitter?
Yeah, I did. But that was a week and a half ago. I just
a lot of my friends got banned this week. I slipped under the radar for my reveling in the possible death of our president.
Oh, yeah, no, mine was just stupid and random.
Yes, but Twitter
too?
came out.
Funny?
No. Several of my friends did, but I cleverly make my death-related tweets too wordy for anyone to fucking...
See, I don't.
I had a lot of friends who made some very funny jokes, obvious jokes, but they were inundated with MAGA harassment and reporting, and some of them got suspended for a period of time. But I think it's very strange that Twitter would come out and say, specifically in regards to this, that you can't wish bad things upon someone.
No,
which I'm like,
I'm
does
not
Twitter
being a
know
shooter.
something about my wishes?
Coronavirus is the shooter. I'm not threatening nobody.
And most of my friends were just saying it would be hilarious if he died of coronavirus.
I know how to
true.
not actually threaten someone with death online. It's a skill, and it's not hard, but yeah, there are rules. There are fucking rules. I'm not allowed to say bleep, but I can say it would be funny if the president died.
That's what they got banned for, if I'm hearing.
Yeah, it does.
Twitter's shaking things up. It sucks.
Yeah. Because it's a combination of these supposed rules Twitter puts out and a culmination of very active users who report certain kinds of things. So there's a lot of very sad people right now who are actually emotionally attached to the idea of our president staying alive.
Yeah.
And I just
imagine caring for another human being.
Well, just imagine all of your care, all of your cares being put in that basket.
That's been a little ornery, but imagine actually giving a shit about Donald fucking Trump. Yeah.
I mean, I almost could muster a weird whisper of sympathy for the sad kind of person who has wrapped up a lot of their identity in supporting Trump and feels like it's very important that this man stay alive.
It's celebrity. It's just celebrity.
It's absolutely celebrity. It's absolutely that. It's a little bit of what we talked about last week with Kamala's fans, where not even in a way that reflects on these figures themselves necessarily, but the fandoms around them are way more reflective of the standums of, like I said last week, pop stars and things like that. And there was a huge rally today in Staten Island. Did you guys see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Was it Borelli?
It was that fucking Greek bitch. And I can say that. That fucking Greek bitch, Nicole Malliotakis or whatever.
I thought it was an ITAL.
She's half Greek, half Latino, I believe. I believe that is her deal. But yes, she held the rally, or the rally was already planned for her, but it turned into a get well soon, President Trump kind of thing. And, did you guys see that people have been sending fast food to Walter Reed? Yeah, like these people are so sad. They think they don't know that they're going to throw away the McDonald's you sent to Walter Reed to everyone.
Also, that reminds me, does anyone remember, what the fuck's her name? That chef who says the N-word?
Paula Deen?
Yeah, no. So when she got in trouble the last time she said the N-word and people were like, you shouldn't do that. There was a campaign of her fans to send Food Network butter wrappings, like the shit that sticks of butter wrap the wax paper.
Yes, yeah.
As a symbol of their affection for Paula Deen, because Paula Deen, uniquely among humans, enjoys butter.
Yes. Unlike the rest of us.
Yeah, no. I mean, Southern cooking has butter. What other cooking has that other than French, Indian? Those are the two main ones. But
yeah, those are the two main butter cuisines.
But yeah, no, if anything, butter is the secondary fat in Southern cooking. Pork fat would be the sort of fat.
Nicole Malliotakis.
Yeah, she's half Greek, half Cuban.
Oh, God, that sounds terrible.
All Republican, which means we're enemies. Though a fun thing has happened for me as a Greek diaspora member.
Yeah, you're Greek and Canadian, which is the opposite side of America that Cuba is.
Yeah. You know who else is Greek and Canadian? Nia Vardalos, creator of My Big Fat Greek.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's true. I have discovered though there's some woke Greeks out here trying to be good guys. It's nice. It's nice for every Nicole Malliotakis and fucking I don't know who's another one. They're out here. Bad conservative Greeks. There's some out here trying to, not be shitty. It was nice to discover a bright spot of my lockdown time to discover Greeks trying to put out content to be like how to talk to your like old Greek family about Black Lives Matter. It's like that's how endearing. I love
Police are like Turks.
Well, the Greeks already don't like police, so it's kind of like there's already a shortcut there. In general, unless the Greeks are the weird ones who have gone into police
Look, you know how when you're just trying to do your crimes and pick pockets of tourists and stuff, the police get in your way. Don't you understand that? I forget the Greek word for grandma. Yeah. I knew it was something with a Y, but I wasn't going to guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But that's been lovely.
I wanted to talk about the conspiracy theories because
me too.
That
me
seems
too.
like a whole episode, but
they're kind of fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, one, it's been interesting because a lot of, and I'm sure you guys have seen this as well, a lot of friends of mine are having a hard time even believing anything. Mm-hmm. They're like, he doesn't have it.
No, Michael Moore wrote an entire book in a weekend about this.
Yep.
Bringing it back to Jack Kerouac.
He did the Raccoon Diaries.
Yeah.
The Michael Moore on amphetamines about why Donald Trump doesn't have coronavirus, and then infected the brains of the liberal hegemony.
I straight up don't understand how you possibly would think that this helps Trump. Like, just from a pure motivation factor, I don't see why Trump would.
It's a little bit like I think everyone's brains are broken.
No, it seriously is.
Because it's a little bit like the way people project this precognitive ability onto, say, a Kris Jenner, right? To take it out of the realm here a little bit. Like when people imply that Kris Jenner had the ability to foresee so many things that she like laid this, she's the one who not only did she take advantage of her daughter's sex tape, she's the one who planned it. That like there's a belief there where people are so far gone with the idea that there are nefarious plans out there that they just are willing to believe that anyone that they've imbued with kind of an evilness or a nefariousness has these supernatural almost abilities. And that's what I see here with Trump is like he would have to have so many things in order, which he's clearly demonstrated he does not do. He's not like a 10 steps ahead of shit person in any realm. But he would have to be so far ahead of it and so sure that he could pull off some kind of ruse where he pretends to be sick and miraculously recovers that it's like he's already succeeded, I feel like, in breaking his enemy's brains.
Yeah. But here's my thing.
Because he will never die now. Like, even if he dies,
well, see, I think
he will never be dead to a segment
I think there's
of
like 60% of the population that doesn't think he has coronavirus, and that's because 30% think he benefits more from having coronavirus, and the other 30% don't believe coronavirus ever existed.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like my thing is just I don't understand. If Kris Jenner orchestrated her daughter's sex tape to launch her daughter's career, I could see how that would benefit Kris Jenner. I literally don't understand how Trump benefit. Like, okay, so first of all, he gets to miss the debates. Trump is statistically behind. Traditionally speaking, you need the debates if you are behind. The debates are a thing that is in your favor because if everything stays the same, you lose the election. So missing the debates is not to his benefit. And frankly, he won 2016 in part because he was an amusing asshole during the debates. Granted, this past one, a little less so, blah, blah, blah. Don't give a shit.
Yeah, he didn't get to pace around at all.
Like, you know, the missing the debates doesn't benefit him. He spent this entire time objectively downplaying coronavirus, and that's been within his supporters and his general mantra, etc. So it looks like God is making fun of him. Like, it just objectively does. And yeah, like, it doesn't get, like, what the fuck is a pity vote? I don't even know that that's a thing. Like, I just don't understand, just from a pure motivation standpoint, how you would remotely, like, oh, he lies a bunch. Like, okay, fine, but, like, I don't see how he benefits from pretending he has coronavirus.
It's almost a theory born more of the, oh no, I would like Donald Trump to die, and I can't believe a good thing could happen.
I mean, so like I said, he will only grow, like, he has a set of DNA that will just combine with coronavirus, and then he'll get Spider-Man powers. Like, no, it's not going to take him out.
Damn it.
He will only grow more powerful.
I've got the best genes. I've got the best.
He'll be able to do a Hadouken in real life. It'll be, like, ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I think he'll be dead in a week.
No, he'll be able to do a Hadouken, and then, like, he'll challenge the president of Iran to combat, which he'll win because of his Hadouken, and Iran will agree to, like, suspend their nuclear program. And yeah, it'll only end up helping him.
See, I want the reverse. I want the reverse QAnon, which is that he's already been dead this whole time, and this is their way of killing him off without having it questioned. Mm-hmm. Another conspiracy theory that I really liked is he was targeted.
Yeah, no, so that's workable.
And this is something Ariel has been pushing for a while, that whoever has coronavirus should just run into a room with him and breathe on a doorknob that he's inevitably going to put his hand on.
Ariel, so you're saying that Ariel is part of a conspiracy to assassinate Trump? You're saying that on our podcast, Stephen?
Yes.
Sure.
I think
Anyway, point is,
I did see a tweet earlier. I who knows who these fucking supposed White House insiders are, or whatever. Take it with a grain of salt. But with everything that came out today, where there was Trump's doctor, making a statement and then saying he misspoke because it implied Trump knew he had corona earlier. All these things, but apparently sources close say that Trump was freaking out right before they decided to essentially make him go to the hospital. His friend died in April of COVID. New York real estate tycoon or some shit, Stan Chera. But apparently Trump has been obsessively worried that he's going to, quote, go out like Stan. And he was saying it over and over again, according to reporters who say they have had conversations with people close there.
Was this in a newspaper or just one of those, like, White House Insider shits on Twitter?
I got it from a reporter who he writes for Vanity Fair, formerly New York Magazine, Gabriel Sherman.
I guess, maybe. Yeah, it's, like, better than, like, I mean, at Oval Office Insider, like...
Yeah, he's got a... I mean, not that it means anything, but he's a person. He's got a check mark.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little better than...
So, but I do think it's an interesting
That's
aspect
actually
of this.
what I should do is get back on Twitter with just like some like I'm the elevator guy at the White House, and I'll just tweet out random shit that like totally I heard in conversations. Yeah, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do think it's interesting that I sort of believe that liberals, Democrats, etc., have built up the evilness of Donald Trump to a degree where
it just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
They're just like, it's almost like he's capable of anything, and like where they've completely lost any sense that he is just this fucking 74-year-old fat motherfucker who like doesn't know what he's talking about ever. Like, it is funny to see this like really strong belief in it's almost like people can't believe that he's not going to totally ruin everything forever. He couldn't just die now. He hasn't completed his evil grand supervillain plan. And, whereas I think he's just a fucking dumb motherfucker who's riding this out.
I do like the Rose Garden Massacre. That's a really fucking awesome name.
Yeah.
So the theory is that now there's a dozen people who attended the Rose Garden ceremony for the AGB, right? AGB, Amy Coney Barrett.
Well, that would be
swearing
ACB,
in.
surely.
ACB.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
ACB, yes.
It's all these.
I like how you said
acronyms.
her correct name, but couldn't think of her initials.
Well, it's the RGB.
Yeah. No.
RBG.
Amy Gummy Barrett.
Yeah, Amy Gummy Bear.
And that the people at this Rose Garden, like now a dozen of them, including I think 4 like reporters, all got coronavirus.
Oh my god, dude! What if then ACB incidentally passes it to the rest of the Supreme Court, and the next president has like 8 openings?
Oh,
that would be the funniest goddamn thing in the world. That's actually, I didn't even consider that as a possibility.
Yeah, and like
Pence because he beat Kamala Harris after both Trump and Biden died.
Oh my god!
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, it's fun times imagining all these things that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, like the over/under on that is, like it's not likely, but it's the most likely that this thing has ever been.
Yeah,
still not likely.
She tested negative.
Okay.
But Kellyanne Conway and Chris Christie and like 10 other people that attended that. I hope Rudy Giuliani gets it. I mean, if anybody needs a shovel to be put into the ground.
The Onion, right?
What?
Just like Comey or Giuliani has like 36 bat-related viruses, none of which are coronavirus. It's one of their better headlines in a while, actually.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Like
he sleeps upside down.
he sleeps upside down. He defends the honor of Italians and Catholics.
Yeah. Seriously, the Republicans need to stop leaning on that and get more into leaning into anti-Catholic bias to take down the popist that is Joe Biden.
Yeah, you would.
Are you going with popist?
Yeah, like.
Did you? Well, not to sidetrack a little bit into the debate, but he did bring up that he's a Roman Catholic in the debate.
Yeah, no.
And I thought of you.
Yeah,
when he
I'll
was
take all my orders from the Pope, according to Joe.
Direct quote.
Yeah.
Direct quote from.
I will sacrifice the national security of America if the Pope tells me to. 100%. Joe Biden, 2020. You know how Napoleon III sent troops into the Papal States to put down liberal revolts during 1848? I'm going to do that. Joe Biden, 2020.
Remember the Crusades? I'm going to do that. 1 through 7.
1 through
And
7.
extra children's, and we're going to sack Istanbul, which used to be Constantinople.
But it's not going to be either now.
We're going to do one of those again. Whatever.
It's going to be
like all the dumbest part of the Crusades. We're going to do that.
It's going to be Rome, Tanzania.
It's going to be New Vatican, is what it's going to be.
Even old
Vatican.
Constantinople was once New Vatican or something. I don't know. Yeah, they might be giants. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, that's everything that's happening in the world.
It is. Which I guess is kind of related to what I wanted to talk about. At least the aspect where I feel people like to indulge in a little fearful fantasy about bad guys and who they think the bad guys are. And that's why I want to talk about race war.
Now. There's going to be a war.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this sort of thematic thing in America where there is this really strong belief in sort of the inevitability of a quote-unquote race war. And that can mean a lot of different things depending on what group of people is using it. But what I find interesting is that it's people who are crazy right-wing racist use it, and people who are quote-unquote woke, etc., also will talk about the possibility of a race war as this very real, simmering thing. And I just wanted to emphasize here on this show that these United States of America, unfortunately, is still mostly white people here. I don't know where this belief that there's some kind of Steven 50-50
don't blemish my name with that.
Yeah, well, okay. Counterpoint. In most of the places that matter, it's a little more even.
It's not even there. Like it's the idea that it's even is born from even the better white people among us, present company included. We can't get out of the bias of being the majority. So when we go to a space where it isn't mostly white people, it does feel like it's 50%, because that's a psychological self-delusion that is well proven and happens. It happens with men. If they go into a room that is in fact half women, half men, they will perceive that room to be mostly women. And a similar thing happens with race, especially in the United States. So places that white people go to, that they are not the overwhelming majority, they tend to perceive it as if it is either half and half when it's just a small percentage of the group is non-white. And if it is half and half, they perceive that room as being mostly
Pinko, Commie, Slutz. Half our toasts are women.
Yeah. Exactly. But so I think this thing contributes to this idea of the race war. And I know we talked about the movie Antebellum last week, but I do think that was a part of that movie as well. I know I mentioned it when we reviewed it, but there was this moment where the senator character is like, we're nowhere and we're everywhere, seemingly about the insidiousness of white supremacists, that they are everywhere and nowhere, scary little ghost people who are hiding in plain sight, which is actually more true, I think, than the idea that there's some anti-white organized body of people that is going to attack white people, regardless of how those white people behave or act. Any race war is going to be between different kinds of white people in the United States if something that someone would call a race war were to occur. But I do find it interesting how often I see it bandied about. I saw a friend of mine who shall remain nameless, and they definitely don't listen to this podcast, so no worries here. But very funny, very smart, but implied that Donald Trump was faking COVID in order to essentially start the race war. And that he wanted to retreat and use COVID, his made-up COVID, as an excuse so that the race war could get triggered and that we'd all of us would kill each other while he was hidden away. And I find this weirdly a common belief. And I don't know if it's just because I am hanging out with shitty comics a lot.
Yeah, I do like how like comics have this very specific culture of, I don't know, like watching professional wrestling and also believing that the government is like giving us cancer from satellites or some shit.
Look, okay, that's not all the comics, but that is definitely, there is the umbrella of comics of the ones who super love Joe Rogan, and that kind of stuff. And I won't lie, there is, I find a lot of those people in the olden times, I found a lot of these comics tolerable because they are, in person at least, very curious people, or they seemingly act like curious people. And even if you're kind of dumb as shit, I can appreciate if you are a curious person who is interested in different possibilities, etc. But it's gone really left over this lockdown time. I've seen just weird beliefs in of course, people who are dipping their toes in some QAnon stuff. That's pretty popular. In fact, there is some comics in particular who are really into the Q stuff that I frankly find to be disgusting and despicable. And I hope they all fucking die of coronavirus. They are the ones who are sort of like soft on Trump because they think, not necessarily full Q, that he's a secret agent trying to fight pedophile rings, but they think he is exposing some kind of evil underbelly. But what a lot of these comics are men. And I find that the men tend to have a outsized belief in both sides. Where they think there is a real organized Antifa out there who is actually dangerous and actually looking to break into people's homes and all this weird nonsense. That comes up a lot where I'm like, I don't know where these dipshits get this idea just because, like, I've met anarchists as well.
Well, I think that points to one thing that I wanted to touch on about race war, and it actually fits in quite nicely, is that I find it's a very suburban fantasy, suburban right-wing fantasy a lot of the times. The idea, I mean, I talk to people living in suburban Maryland and suburban New Jersey, afraid of people, black people coming from Baltimore and raiding their white picket fences, or coming from Newark or Jersey City and, breaking into their homes, and they need to get security so that, they get a notification
it's very
anytime,
suburban.
their sensor goes off in front of their house, like my mom has.
Yeah, well, like the best of next door.
They think what I find, and something that I found growing up in Baltimore, having grown up in the city, going to public school, and then getting into a private school and being around those people, is that the people who live in the rich neighborhoods in the suburbs who have these outsized ideas about quote unquote bad guys coming from the inner cities, they think poor people are just sitting around thinking about them all the time. They think that people downtown in Baltimore are like obsessed with them and can't stop thinking about wanting to go to their neighborhoods. And I just couldn't imagine anything that the kids I grew up with would have thought about.
Well,
less.
it kind of gets back to something Trump talks about a lot, and a lot of Trump's pitch to suburban voters is the problems of the city are going to spread to the suburbs, and we need to protect the suburbs from the problems of the city, which are just dog whistles for Black people invading because Black Lives Matter. And a lot of the rhetoric about the cities are chaos, they're anarcho, communes that have no law and order, and the police can't contain them, is to speak to the suburban voter. And I've heard people in the suburbs say, how are you doing in the city? I hear it's so bad. I hear this is horrible. Like there's these constant chaos and violence and destruction that's going on around you. How do you deal with it? And yeah, it gets to your point that that's just a fantasy. That's a super ego.
It's a fantasy that they're horny for. It's not even like it's not even like the thing that haunts them. They like want it to be true. They masturbate to this. They post bullshit They pitch bullshit, pitch perfect, made up nonsense in order to perpetuate them. There was a lovely tweet a couple weeks ago where it was like, my daughter in Baltimore was just attacked. And she called the police and they said they can't help because the kids attacking her are Black. Which
valid
is
concern.
Hilarious. And guess what, guys? I actually have a little inside scoop there because Baltimore is small-to-more, and literally nothing like such an incident could happen without somebody knowing something. Turns out the couple in question that this mother was tweeting about, and the person tweeting about it was in Texas. This couple in Baltimore were they essentially attacked what is known as the squeegee kids. Downtown Baltimore has a lot of preteens and teens who will come up to your car and be like, can I wash your windows? And like, give me $1. Sometimes they're very cool about it and it's fine. Sometimes they're a little sassy because they're literally 13 years old.
They're
most
hungry
of the time.
Because they fucking buy sandwiches
and also,
with your dollar.
Exactly, and in fact, I have participated in buying them Big Macs.
100%. Like, they're literally
just because
they're doing what you would, if you're 13. Yeah, if you're fucking 13 and you
in America
are dirt goddamn poor and you need to make money, this is apparently what the rules are supposed to be, is, do something for money. They're like, do you have windows? Wash the $1 to wash them. That's worth $1. That's a service.
Yeah. So, so these are like 11, 12, 13-year-olds, sometimes 14, 15, whatever, but they're kids. And they behave like children, and they're children. But this couple said essentially they were accosted. The boyfriend or the husband in this couple got out and started essentially trying to fight a 12-year-old.
Fucking Kramer.
And then one of his friends threw something at him, and then it became like whatever. And then the bitch tried to call the police.
This is so fucking stupid. And we think you're stupid and you're making problems for us.
Yeah, even the Baltimore police, who are one of the most corrupt and ready to fucking fuck over some kids if they had the opportunity, were like, this is beyond the pale. But this had gotten relayed to the mother in Texas, who tweeted it, and people retweeted it without question, because this is what people believe
did anyone
about the
actually
quote-unquote inner
retweet
city.
that, agreeing with her? Because from what Okay, because from what I saw,
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, knowing a bunch of like county fucking trash from Maryland, people who live 20 minutes from Baltimore City believe these kinds of things and never go there. And it's, but we'll claim Baltimore in a Ravens way or whatever.
Go Eagles.
But these fucking idiots, they're truly the stupidest, I can't emphasize enough how incredibly stupid you have to be to live on one of these boring, nothing like sections of the suburbs in the Baltimore area. Like, you have to purposely be stupid to actively avoid the city in a way where you think that in broad daylight, if you drove down a certain block, that like hoodlums would pop out of nowhere and jump on your car. But people literally believe this.
Go on.
And it took me a long time to realize that people literally believed this and weren't kind of that they didn't know that they were exaggerating. They thought they were talking about something that is just fundamentally true, and that's part of the problem. And it contributes to the idea of the race war is like this idea that that the poor of the inner city are sitting around scheming about ways to sneak into the suburbs, that they're looking out for you crossing into their territory so they can attack you. And, when in reality, it's either some kids with squeegees or, people who've moved into gentrified neighborhoods whose Amazon packages get stolen. Like that's a lot of the crime that the suburban contingent or the suburban transplant contingent comes in contact with. A majority of the violent crime that happens in Baltimore is still reserved for the conflicts among the poor people themselves that don't actually spill out into the greater like general crowds and things like that. But the belief in these stories is intense, and most of them have just never even really talked to anyone from any of these places. But it is fun to be a white person from Baltimore City and to talk to these people who have these beliefs, because they often assume that you come from the same place, somewhat believe the same thing, or you're just naive if you believe a different thing. And when I'm like, no, I have been to this neighborhood you're talking about, as if it's from
that is
a Call of
actually
Duty.
one thing living in New York
background.
I think about is how there's still people who think Harlem's a bad neighborhood. It's like that blows my mind is when I occasionally like meet someone who acts like I could afford an apartment in Harlem. I mean, it's just Washington Heights a little bit, but like I've never felt unsafe there.
Well, New York hasn't changed at all since 1976.
You're right. Seriously, no, that is like there's a legitimate belief by human beings. I remember that shit was all over the place, and that's the thing with the New York Post. And I'm gonna get a little John Mulaney right now. But no, that's the thing with the New York Post is it's clearly not written for people from New York outside of the sports page. Because I remember there was a genre of articles during the early days of de Blasio's administration where it's like, oh, people get accosted on subways by criminals all the time now because of de Blasio. And it's like, I rode the subway literally 4 hours a day, 5 days a week to go to and from work. And that never happened to me. And I just was like, no, that's literally not true. I would absolutely know if that were true. And it's not.
Yeah, I mean, if people are privileged enough to avoid doing things, they'll believe anything about those things that they never do. So, I'm always fascinated when I meet someone who doesn't take the trains, in the before times, et cetera, who lives in New York City.
Well,
but
and that's very few people, which gets back to my point that honestly, the New York Post outside of the sports page is absolutely not written for people from New York. And I grew up, in a town that was not a big city, but associated with a big city, but no one in my town would ever walk down a street in that city we associated with. I know the concept. That's actually where I came from. But it's just, there's absolutely, it's an unbelievable story for people from New York that you can't ride the subway. That's just fucking stupid. I have to ride the subway. I do it all the time.
I love that episode of Seinfeld when Elaine goes on the subway and she's completely grossed out. It reminds me of, I feel like Always Sunny did the bus version with Dee.
Yeah, which, to be fair, Philly, you can get away with not riding public transportation as much. Yeah, people own cars.
Yeah, it is kind of. Well, and the public transit doesn't necessarily get everywhere you'd need to go.
But also in the 90s,
to the degree
you could take a taxi for $1.25 to get downtown, and now it takes $15.
Taxi fares are too damn high.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a time when it was slightly more acceptable to just take taxis everywhere because they were cheaper, and also the city was shittier, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was shittier. It was just, the 90s, and the only way I can picture that in my mind is by imagining the TV shows that I saw about it, which probably don't have an accurate representation of New York City in that time period.
What, you mean New York City wasn't like Seinfeld / NYPD Blue?
Or old Law and Order episodes.
It wasn't about nothing.
That
Dennis
was
Franz, but
that's the
remember
only
that,
thing
guys?
I know about NYPD Blue, because I was a child when that show was.
That we saw a not hot guy's butt. That was, it was a huge deal. I remember that they showed his butt.
I just got sneezes. The weather is getting colder, but
oh boy, that's true.
Maybe Marlo has coronavirus and has been dead this entire time that he's been talking.
Oh my god, damn it. Okay.
Oh,
it
would be us.
Anyway, I didn't watch the show because I was a child when that shit was on, but I always knew about the butt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just remember it was a big deal, and but then now I didn't watch the show. I was aware of the show because I'm not really into cop procedurals. Personally, I will indulge a little bit of.
I love the race.
I wasn't into that. I did New York Undercover, though, was a Fox show that was a little more urban. I did like that one. I was very into.
I recently watched the Race War episode of Law and Order, the Nazi episode, where they infiltrate the courtroom with white supremacists and they shoot the guy who's about to talk, and then the white supremacist that's undercover shoots the white supremacist and reveals that it's an FBI agent who has just been calling Munch a Jew the whole time. The funniest thing about that episode is they dropped the N-bomb.
Oh yeah, no, that was a thing in the 90s. You were allowed to do that. You were
just one. They had a quota for Nazi episodes of things. You could say the N-bomb, but only if it was a Nazi saying it, like American History X.
Yeah. Well, which also brings us back to last week with Antebellum. I still think it's so fucking funny that entire movie was made, and they were like, yeah, but no one uses the N-word or anything close to it. It's all just statements about their prejudice and not reflections of it.
I will say that if there is a race war,
like,
I know what side I'm on.
The Vietnamese.
The Vietnamese.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the official
That's
stance.
the official stance of the podcast. I've got an in since my Canadian cousins are half Vietnamese. So we
Glad we're all on
got a
board with
pathway
this.
in.
And we all know the reference, and we're all we're all in agreement. A, they're communists. B, they're a superior race that beat the United States imperial powers.
Yeah, no, they tortured the fuck out of John McCain.
Yeah,
They made him not
which
a
makes
man
them
anymore.
morally superior.
Yeah.
Which makes them morally superior
Yeah. Oh.
as a race.
You're gonna call me soy boy because I ate soy? Well, you know what? I'm from a culture that eats soy, and I made John McCain a lady by besting him and torturing him.
He's a loser.
Yeah.
He's a loser.
Again, we always say stop making fun of Trump for the correct things he said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have always said that's true.
I dodged the draft. Good for you. Oh, my Vietnam was not catching AIDS in New York. Absolutely. 100% I could see your struggle, and I'm glad you came out of that, dude. And you know what? You still committed a bunch of crimes for which you should be shot, but less than John McCain. So good for you.
Also, you're very accepting of your gay son, Eric.
Anyway, speaking of gayness, Red Dawn.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of right-wing fantasies.
Hold on,
So.
I'm going to blow my nose at Jewish levels of volumes.
Well, it's a good time to mention that Jennifer Grey is in the original Red Dawn movie.
Actually, all of the cast of
I
Dirty
forgot.
Dancing. It's actually a prequel to Dirty Dancing.
Is it? Yeah.
It's
Red
how-
Dawn is a prequel to Dirty Dancing Havana Nights. Clearly.
Yes.
Do we actually
okay.
know that backstory to the script for Dirty Dancing Havana Nights? Okay, because it was on This American Life.
I
I'm
don't.
not really. It's not like I have an inside scoop or anything. But no, Dirty Dancing Havana Nights was originally written by this screenwriter. He had this idea for a movie, and the basic idea was a American teenager lives in Cuba because her dad has a job or whatever, and the Cuban Revolution breaks out, and she starts this romance with a Cuban revolutionary, and it's this kind of deep Romeo and Juliet story about taking place against the backdrop of the Cuban Revolution, and basically, studios were interested in the script. It got chopped around, whatever. He kind of moved on, got a call one day, and it's oh, yeah, your script's getting made. It's gone through some rewrites, and it was Dirty Dancing Havana Nights. It's an absolutely true story. It was in This American Life. It's not even oh, this is an obscure thing. I know, a bunch of people know this. We're the at least second podcast to cover this after This American Life.
You know what Red Dawn is also prequel to? Or maybe it's after. Maybe it also has all of the cast of The Outsiders. So it's Outsiders, Dirty Dancing, both casts come together to form the Mujahideen of Colorado.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. They really did. There was such a long period in the early 80s where the Mujahideen were fucking pirates of the 20th century. In the sort of Tom Sawyer, every young boy with a healthy life decides he wants to be a pirate one day kind of shit. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that
everyone
was
was
like
like,
the
I'm gonna
shit
be a
for a
Mujahideen
while. It was like astronauts if you grew up in like 1960.
The interesting thing about this is they chose not incorrectly, or I don't know if it's incorrect or not, but they chose Colorado to be our Afghanistan.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And I think they said it. They were like, this, the Soviets invaded much like they invaded Afghanistan from the south and the north. They came from Alaska, and then they teamed up with Nicaraguans.
Okay, so first we have to start out by pointing out, because I looked this up in preparation for this episode. So the movie starts out with their teacher, who I'm going to call Blackman first name only. So Mr. Blackman is leading a class about Mongol hunting habits. And he mentions in it that they formed a semicircle the length of Rhode Island. And I thought that sounded stupid. So I looked it up. And actually, at the largest extent, it could be 2 Rhode Islands long. No, this was 100% true, what he was saying. It's apropos of nothing else in the film. It doesn't actually, to any level of analysis I can think of, really relate to anything. It doesn't have to do with guerrilla combat. It doesn't have to do with, resisting an oppressor. It's not thematic at all to the movie. But also it was called the Negre, which kind of sounds like another word, which I think is highlighted by the name I gave to this teacher. So that's also, I Googled this. Don't blame me. I'm not being racist. Google is. But yeah, no, literally though, apparently in order to hunt in Mongol hordes, you would form a chain of hunters that could range up to 86 miles long, and the length of Rhode Island is 40-some miles. So yeah, totally true. Actually slightly underestimates that measurement. I just want to point that out.
And then he dies.
Well, okay, so then the Cubans/Soviets land /Honduras.
And Nicaraguans, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Nicaraguans, Sandinistas, baby.
Yeah, there's
never did
Nicaraguans,
a damn thing
too.
wrong. They parachute in, and they treat that school as if it was post-Soviet Russia in the early 2000s dealing with a school. Because they just murder everyone inside a school for no reason at all that would serve them tactically or otherwise. They just murdered teachers and school children for some reason, as if. Yeah, it was there is actually a precedent for Russian troops doing that to a school, but it's well after the Soviet Union was no longer a thing and it was under Putin. So yeah, they totally Chechen that school up. So Pat Swayze, Charlie Sheen, and others,
who are brothers and look nothing alike.
Yeah, whatever. I always say I got all the Russian Jew genes. My sister got all the Italian genes. Yeah, siblings can look different. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, they get in their pickup. And also they're football players, and that comes up later. And
well, it's a quiet American town.
Yeah,
it's doing American things like football.
Sons, when you were younger, I did things that made me. You guys hate me. It's what their dad said to them. Things that I made you promise your mother not to tell.
Bunny, did you have? You said you were going to say something. Sorry.
Do you guys know that the connection of this movie with the U.S. military's operation to find Saddam Hussein? It was,
Okay.
in fact, Operation Red Dawn. And it wasn't just the name alone. They, in fact, used different aspects from the plot of the film. So, like, the locations they were searching for Saddam in were codenamed Wolverine 1 and Wolverine 2. It's incredibly dorky. It is one of the dorkiest things I think I've ever read.
When was this?
And they said they chose. This was
What?
in 2003. So the operation that resulted in them actually finding Saddam in the spider hole was called Operation Red Dawn. And yes, the two sites were called Wolverine 1, Wolverine 2. And, I believe a statement was made that the mission name was so fitting because that is a pro-American patriotic movie.
It doesn't. I mean, unless they use child soldiers to do
it's not
it,
at all
it really
Saddam
has
Hussein is not a
nothing to
communist.
do with.
He actually put down communist revolts, although he opposed the Communist Party within Iraq, but he also had some social democratic programs.
The Ba'athist Party, I mean, it's kind of like fascism where it just sort of it uses nationalism in such a way to justify like broad social programs, and also because it's Arab, it kind of has this like anti-imperialism association with it because it formed against the backdrop of imperialism. But
yeah, I just think that for a certain generation of Americans, communism is analogous with evil bad guys. And the children in the military who named this operation, in 2003 were similarly minded. They didn't think about it on any deep level. It was just like a shorthand for like Americans getting bad guys, anything to sort of throw that binary onto a situation. Now, did either of you seen the remake
trailer.
of Red Dawn?
I saw the trailer. I wanted to watch it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
It's bad. Even the director of the original is.
The original was not good. Like the original was not good.
Disavows it.
Yeah, no, it's not a good movie. It's not really particularly good, even as like, this is a shitty movie to watch. It's boring for a long part of it, and it's not even the. I mean, you like the second half of the movie. I like the first half because that's like at least everything's starting and shit. And like, I don't know. I feel like Patrick Swayze did. It got worse when they introduced the chicks. I mean, just like until then, it was just like, hey, we're all being manly men in the woods and whatever. And it was more.
Yeah, it could have been a nice, just man-centric film, like my favorite, Master and Commander. There's one woman in that entire film.
It's like
just some native.
Let's have sword fights with their penises and stuff. But dude shit.
Yeah, cool dude shit.
And
that
before that. My argument for the first half of the movie is basically it's where all the plot unfolds, and basically until they go back to the town, that was the last like level of mystery to solve about what was happening, and they basically got the story after that. And then like it's just like, oh, let's do guerrilla attacks, and no, let's do more guerrilla attacks. Additionally, the pirated copy I had didn't have a subtitle file to go with it. I don't know. So a good portion of the dialogue was lost on me.
The best subtitle joke, I guess, was when they were reading the sign for the national park, and the Soviet guy reads it, and he misreads it or mistranslates it, and talks about how something imperialist powers, ha 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 ha, and everyone's like, "Good job, comrade! Nice translation." And then the girls shoot him, I think.
Yeah.
Is what happened.
I don't know. It's just like not the best action for 80s action movies, and it's kind of
What do you think, funny?
repeated.
I mean, it's super 80s, which I love. I also like
Well, they're all
old
like
are
40.
these actors?
Well, that's the weird thing.
right? And then they're supposed to be like
Ralph
in or
Macchio
just
is
out of
like
high school
20
or
in
whatever.
Karate Kid,
Like
which
close
I
enough to
found
high school.
surprising because I recently watched that for the first time, and he's fucking 20 in that movie, or 19 at least. That he looks like a freshman in high school.
But yeah, he looks like it.
I'm getting a fire truck.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's the Mujahideen that's blowing
Yeah.
up my neighbors.
Yeah, so anyway, Patrick Swayze makes himself a oh shit, now I forget what those are called. Fuck me.
Warlord?
Well, no, his little headdress was what I was referring to.
Yeah, he does the Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, he basically Lawrence of Arabia is himself. And becomes a brutal anti-communist right-wing warlord on the Colorado Rocky Mountain Plains. And also, like, Afghanistan has mountains, so there's that.
My favorite part, speaking of the women coming in, Bunny might want to speak on this, but the old man who has like tinsel and Christmas stuff up at one point, he gives this group of terrorists his daughters as a gift.
Yeah.
Why?
And
What?
his wife protests. We should also remember that.
because because as soon as the rule of American law falters at all, we are immediately going back in time several centuries and just total Bible selling.
But
selling
why
bitches.
would you agree to give them to the terrorists? Like,
It's it's tried and true. They were probably trying to make an Iliad illusion. I don't know. It's literally. I just think that it's like 0 to 60. America falters. All of your values.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the like
and
old
you
man
no longer are even
knows who
attached
these
to your own
people are,
children.
'cause, like, it's a town of 75 people, and it was, I mean, I guess, like, on balance of things, it's a little questionable that them staying in that guy's house wasn't more safe, but they were on the run or whatever. Like, it's justified in the movie.
it was just horrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, he jokingly uses the term gift to say, could you please help my granddaughters or whatever out. Like, yeah, it was a crass joke, but I understand what was happening. It's not like it's a plot issue.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I'm not totally joking about the idea of someone having to give 2 daughters to the invading people being an allusion to the Iliad. It kind of is a thematic crutch. The idea of having
Along that
two divvy up daughters.
same line, I like how
comes up a lot.
democracy just completely went down the tube. Much like America falters a little bit. We're just handing out our daughters willy-nilly to whomever knocks on the door with guns, hoping that they're the good guys and won't get one of the daughters killed in a horrible, like, what was it, tank battle that he then like takes a grenade to like blow up.
No, wait, the one chick dies from some helicopter shit in her, and the other chick manages to survive the movie.
Right.
I followed that because there were only 2 women, so I was able to be like, those are only 2 characters. I can follow both of them.
But in the beginning, though, when it's just the dudes, you know, dudes rocking out, out in
being gay in the woods, that the Russians absolutely should have just napalmed and cut the movie off. They
have this impasse where some of the kids want to go back, and Patrick Swayze, and they want to take a vote on it, and Patrick Swayze is like, no voting. I'm Patrick Swayze. I got a ballerina butt, and
it's how we got here.
Well, no, you're running a paramilitary group. Yeah, I don't know.
I just liked it because it was like the high school senior like president.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Who was doing his duties.
Well,
still.
Yeah, I mean that was like a thing in the 80s where they have so many movies that are just sort of built up to be this like underdog story, and it turns out just being like, oh no, the like dude in high school who's really cool just ends up winning in the end because he's so fucking cool and alpha. And like that was a big thing in the 80s where they wouldn't have like this like, oh, you're a weird outsider and you're going to make everyone like you. That was a form of movie, but another form of movie is, oh, weird outsider's kind of a loser and he should just like submit to the cooler kid. And that was definitely this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, Patrick Swayze has definitely everything going for him. With the societal rules when society exists, and then when society breaks down, those rules happen to be universal, so he's got that too. He just fucking rules.
I like the second half because more things happen. Like
the same thing happens. They just shoot Russians and then they don't shoot Russians. Again, maybe if I had Spanish and Russian dialogue going on, I'd appreciate.
Well, I mean, I don't mean plot points. Like there was just more things going on the screen.
It was the same scene. It was the same, like, just I don't know, blood packets going off and blah blah blah, and like a boom here and there. I could watch better action if I wanted that. I don't know. I like at least unfolding of the plot in this separate universe, because that's actually the thing that's different about this movie. Like it's at least going there with the plot, and it's a kooky enough plot.
They do a fair amount of dehumanizing of communism.
Oh yeah, no, they're not a fan of communists in this movie.
Well, this is prime.
This film is dedicated to the brave fighters
propaganda
of Mujahideen.
Mujahideen. Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Wait, from the Foucault-Chomsky
They've
debate?
edited that out.
I mean, yeah.
Wait, what was that originally?
It was Rock
that
Rambo. Sorry. Yeah, my bad.
Rambo.
They both.
Rocky.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still
all the 80s movies. It's
Rambo 3.
Yeah, no, it's what I was saying. Like, absolutely, the Mujahideen for a very long time. It was like astronauts if you were born in 1960.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I will be right back. I have to get a computer charger desperately. Or I might drop out. Who knows? Let's see how fast I can move.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at 90 minutes.
we should
So
wrap up soon.
Patrick
We're
Swayze
long
is
already.
Osama bin Laden.
True.
Are you?
He's a sexy Osama.
You saying Osama bin Laden is not sexy? he was.
He
Beardsley.
was tall. So
he was rich.
He was tall. Rich. He was tall.
He ran a
well
construction
connected
company. I mean, that's just sweat pouring out of you all day long. Like, what? How can you say no? And then he's a religious man.
Mm-hmm.
He opposes
pious,
Israel, which I'm all for. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to say though that in the remake one, they have it be
It's
North Korea that invades. I think it's a 2012. It's a 2012 movie, so it's before.
Which is interesting that they
dystopia.
would choose that.
that it was made.
Bizarre. It's a bizarre right-wing fantasy.
Yeah, I agree. It's a thing where they're horny for it. They wish we'd get invaded so bad. And that's also an interesting aspect of Red Dawn is
we lost Marlo, by the way.
It's like, oh, we did lose Marlo. Is he coming back? I don't know. We may just go that. But I did think it was interesting that, a main thrust of the original Red Dawn is never before has any foreign force invaded this American land or whatever until now, right? Like most of the posters say something along those lines. And I just love this obsession with that idea we had before 9/11. To the degree there was this entire schlocky movie made with like, what if we got invaded here? It's just,
can you hear me?
It's kind of cute, I guess.
All right, cool.
Marlo's back, I think. Yep. Yeah. No, I was just saying that a big part of the Red Dawn advertising was the idea that America's never been invaded on American soil.
Oh, you also had
how that was such an obsession in pre-9/11
no, actually
days.
was Siege pre or post 9/11? No, I don't remember. Yeah, the Brad
movie
Pitt
Siege.
one. I don't think I've ever actually seen it. The Siege, maybe. Oh, okay. So that was like 9/11 predictor film, I guess.
Ooh.
Oh no, you had a bunch of terrorist movies in the 80s. Like you had a bunch of like shit where it's like, but also it was like a fun terrorist that just wanted money. Like they didn't like actually believe in any. I mean, that was actually the point of Die Hard. Also Speed 2. Yeah, you had a bunch of like. But that was also when hijacking was a kooky plot point. Yeah, well, it happened all the time, and usually no one died. Hijacking. And so it's just like one of those things that could be used as a harmless, not traumatizing plot point to move things forward.
R.I.P. to D.B. Cooper.
Yeah. There was that actual
there.
story where, what's his face? The dude who started Candid Camera was on a plane that got hijacked, and people like looked at him and were like, "Oh, is this like a thing?" And he's like, "No, like no, this is actually happening. It's not a candid camera bit. Sorry." Yeah, well, I mean, again, it was like a point. I mean, could you imagine if modern candid camera staged plane hijacking? That'd be hilarious. It'd be so fucking funny. They wouldn't do it. Anyway,
all right.
Yeah, Red Dawn is like really not that great of a movie. Like it's not even a fun bad movie. It's like, as far as I'm concerned, it's set apart by just the ridiculous plot. Everything else,
premise.
Premise. Yeah, let's not act like there's characters in this film you'll care about. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Havana Nights.
But it is the prequel to Dirty Dancing. That's canon. Havana Nights. All right, guys. I hope by this time next
rest
week
in
he's
peace,
dead.
Donald Trump.
We'll
R.I.P.
see.
to a real one.
Yeah. I think they should take his body around in like a glass case and take it on tour. Old school style. That's what they were going to do with Lincoln.
All right.
I'll talk about that next week. The people who wanted to take Lincoln's body around on tour. That's a thing.
All right, good night.
All right, guys. We're good. We're long.
Yeah.
Happy.
Bye.
Happy.
Right. Bye.
This is the United States of America, and you got a right to hate who you want. So let's start busting heads.